So all it took to get Roman over was cancer.
Yep. It was, you missed the screen.
No, I didn't.
You did.
I promise I didn't.
You did.
You weren't paying attention. What's up, everybody? We're live. Boom. Smarkdown Radio. Travis, Brother Bob.
Yeah, I was busy tweeting out our...
Yeah,
our...
you missed it. Like, Bob's... anyway, it's been a day here at Smarkdown Studios.
Yeah.
Technical issues.
Always the technical issues.
And, it's time for a new board, I think. Bob, I'm looking at the... Why is there a comic on the...
Because Smackdown 1000, Drax, Dave Batista's back. And not only is he back, in his promo, he told Triple H about how Triple H has gotten over on everybody but him because he couldn't get over on him. Because if he tried to get over on Batista, he's too fast. With his reflexes, he would catch him.
Yeah,
but
that's another podcast.
That's a whole nother podcast.
We got that's a whole
hashtag. That's a whole nother podcast.
All right, so big week. Really week and a half since we've been on. A lot of news. Obviously, the big news, Roman's announcement. It's a little joke and a little levity, in a bad situation. But we do wish him the best. Bob and I aren't his biggest fans, but you have to separate the guy that plays Roman Reigns from Roman Reigns.
If WWE would have given us more Joe Anoa'i like he was in his promo on Raw, I would have been more invested in him as a character and I legitimately want to see more. And I don't know whether I feel worse about the fact that, he's going to have to take time off and we're not going to get to see, progression of the storyline that we were on, or that I almost feel, slighted in that, I had stolen from me by WB Creative an opportunity to see the guy I seen last night for the last few years, because that promo was well spoken. It came off credible. He didn't seem like he was reading from a script. He didn't seem fake. He didn't seem douchey. He seemed like a good guy who I want to see wrestle. And I'm like, if that had been what they had given us for the past, 8 years, I would have been completely fine with that.
I've heard a lot of guys say, like, insiders, people who are in the business, other wrestlers, that if the WWE guys were given a chance to cut old school promos, you'd be surprised in a positive way. A lot of those guys are supremely talented, and it's almost like that talent is being stifled, and they're being forced into the boxes that the WWE wants them. And that may be a good example. He came out; it's a very emotional moment for him. He relinquishes the title, and he talks from the heart. That did not seem. It seemed like he had 4 or 5 bullet points. He went out there and he wanted to say it. He had a couple of lines that he definitely wanted to drive home because it was a promo and it was the TV show, it was part of Raw, but he meant that. That wasn't just him playing a character, that was him being him and buying in. And, kudos to the fans. Like, there was that moment. He's like, so this is what's going on. Mm-hmm. And the fans were like, well, shit, we can't boo him anymore. Yeah. Like, in the best possible way, they're like, well, this sucks. And it's one of those, it's become such a thing, like, where the fans enjoyed booing him, kind of like Cena and stuff like that. Now, they just kind of were like, well, this is a real moment. Let's give him a round of applause and say thank you. And that was great. And I've seen some scumbags online. Of course, there's the scumbags. Mm-hmm. They're saying this is a good thing. There are crappy human beings out there. Yeah. I promise if I see that, like, in my Twitter timeline or whatever, you're getting blocked. Yep. I got no time for that. Absolutely. Because, like, there are legitimately bad guy wrestlers out there, like bad people that are happen to be wrestlers. And even them, you shouldn't be like wishing death or illness on.
Terrible as Ultimate Warrior was as a human being, I didn't like celebrate when he passed.
No. I mean, and that was a little bit, but he was at least able to, mend some fences towards the end, and he was very honest and said that he had been a kind of a box of big bag of excrement, and he kind of owned his stuff, and he made a lot of amends, and that's good that he got to do that. Because it helps you remember him in a better light. But there are bad guys who've been a part of wrestling for ever, and they'll continue to be. That's just a fact. But from all accounts, Roman's not a particularly bad guy. A lot of us just didn't like the way that the WWE pushed him, and the way he was being used and things like that. So obviously, don't be a scumbag, and say, yeah, this is a good thing. This dude's got cancer.
Exactly.
He's battling cancer. Wish him the best. We definitely do. So
absolutely. Speaking of scumbags and some current allegations, what do you think of the whole Ric Flair, Charlotte Flair lawsuit?
So this is one of those that could get ugly. For those of you who hadn't seen it, Charlotte's ex is suing over her book. And some of the allegations in that book, and he has leveled some allegations of racially charged comments at Charlotte. Look,
then Teddy Long came out and mentioned that Rick dropped N-bomb directly at him while speaking.
That's super believable.
Yeah,
and not condoning it. That's super believable. Considering Ric Flair's age, where he grew up. And again, not cool, not cool. And what do you say to that? You're I mean, it's been noted there was a lot of racism especially in the 70s and 80s in the business.
Now,
even into the 90s.
Do you think it's a bit, I don't even know, bias on WWE's part to have basically wiped Hulk Hogan from the history of the company for an extended period of time, and then when allegations of this nature come out against Charlotte Flair, have their attorneys make a comment that they completely stand behind Charlotte Flair in this case, and that they believe these allegations are baseless and without merit, even though the person claims to have audio confirmation of her saying these things. Do you think they're being a bit biased here, being that Hulk Hogan, not being around wasn't going to hurt their bottom line?
No, and I'll tell you why. Very different situations, okay? Hogan, the tape was released, okay? Really awful stuff, and it was, there was no, there's no questionability. There was no question in your mind. This was Hulk Hogan on a tape saying it. You're well, what do you... This is a disgruntled ex that is... And I'm not saying... I want to make it clear. I'm a huge Charlotte fan. I love her character. I love everything she does in the ring. Very upfront about that. I am not defending this if it happened. But this is a disgruntled ex that they had a very, very bad breakup. And it was, pretty publicly known that it was a pretty abusive relationship, physically or not. It was pretty...
and the story on that goes both directions. Her autobiography, which brought this all out, she claimed he was abusive to her.
Yes.
And he is filing a defamation suit because he says that she and her family were abusive to him.
This is a crazy situation. Yeah. Okay. It would be different. My opinion would be 100% different if he would have just dropped the audio.
Yep.
He just dropped the recording and be here, she's a racist. You want to hear what she said? Here it is.
I wonder if this is something that is going to come out in court, or if this is a situation where his attorney advised him not to drop the audio, to use it as leverage for a settlement. Yes.
Sometimes it's better to pay when you have that much money. Okay. Sometimes it's better to pay to have a problem go away if you can make the number right. Because look, this happens, and not just in situations like this, but this happens in America on a daily basis. Is it going to be cheaper to pay him a couple $100 to go away as opposed to paying lawyers maybe upwards of a couple $100 to litigate this thing and have it get ugly and contentious, and you don't know what's going to come out? Again, we don't know if she said this and it comes out and then the WWE doesn't do something about it, that's a problem. Yeah. Then it's hypocritical. Then it's the same thing as you look at it. Well, you got to go. You got to go. I also think that there may be some difference too, because the in the audio and how long she would be gone and things like that. Again, I'm not condoning. I hate that I have to preface that when you just try to have a conversation about a subject nowadays. You have to say, I'm not condoning this, because you don't want to see people go to the lowest common denominator and be racist and sexist and all these things. That's terrible. Yep. If this is like a 20-second audio clip of her in a fight with, like, in public that he has on his phone with some, like, a person of color, and it's not an N-bomb, but it's something.
From the what I've read, it's audio of her dropping an N-bomb and speaking discouragingly about the North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina black community.
Again, this is what he's saying. Yeah. So take it with a grain of salt. Again, we don't know what if it comes out. We're gonna know. It's either going to come out and we'll know 100%, or you got to be like, you got to kind of look at this with a little bit of a skeptical eye, because this is such a bad break. Like when you have somebody who has motives and agendas and things like that, you do have to take, and you can't just jump on the bandwagon and say, get rid of her. You have to at least hear it. And again, you have to hear the context. Whereas Hulk Hogan is having a casual racist conversation in his everyday life, there's a level to that is really horrible. And then just below that is where you again, not condoning it, but somebody shouts something in a moment of anger because they're trying to hit below the belt. You shouldn't do that, but at least you're like, well, you don't know if they're really hardcore racist or they're just really angry and they're trying to get under your skin. And again, don't do it. Just don't be a racist dick. Like there's
personally, I think WWE should have just not commented. I mean, this lawsuit wasn't filed against WWE from what I've seen. It was filed against the publisher of the book, and against Charlotte Flair. So they maybe should not have commented. I think they have other things they need to focus on. Hashtag boycott
Crown Jewel. Well, apparently John Cena and Daniel Bryan have decided to hashtag boycott Crown Jewel, allegedly.
And with Roman Reigns not going to be there now as well.
So that's being reported. It's not hard confirmed. I haven't seen but I've seen. I don't know. This is the hard part when you're following wrestling publications and whatnot. Finding out if they're just reporting off of someone else's story or these are individual confirmed sources can be a little tricky. There was a report that came from a source that is fairly reliable in this sort of thing, not known for breaking a lot of news, but definitely has ties backstage, that John Cena's not going and Daniel Bryan's refusing to go. Yep. On top of this, and then they said Roman Reigns injured. Yep. Which we now know what that is.
And there was the report that ticket sales were moved back to day of from like first week of November. So it was interesting to see them push back ticket sales over a week. And I wonder if that is in fact because of the fact that they are preparing to move to a different location.
Yeah, it could be. They could be looking to pull the plug on this.
The big talk is that they're going to still go ahead with it, but in the UK, because they have 2 shows in the UK the following 2 days for Raw and SmackDown, and that they could use the same venue to do the pay-per-view.
Nobody's saying not to do this pay-per-view. People are saying don't, and not even like I came out, and it's absurd that some people, they're so fanboy about this, about the company and about wrestling. Like I was accused, and I don't understand this. I was accused of being like Islamophobic.
Yep, I got that too.
I was accused. I'm not saying don't go to a predominantly Muslim country and have a show. I'm saying don't go to Saudi Arabia when they're killing journalists. All right, they're sending hit squads to other countries to murder people. Don't go.
Why don't
that
you...
has nothing. I would say the same thing about any other country. Like, it's like, don't go to North Korea. Okay, like, just don't do it. There's a lot of problems.
Move the show to Detroit and then donate all the proceeds from the show to the Museum of Islam in Detroit, Michigan. How about that?
I mean, I didn't understand some of these people. Like, when I'm saying, I'm advocating for a, Crown Jewel to not move forward, and I'm not the only one. People are just piling on, and I'm like, none of this is confirmed. And I'm like, look, again, I said it on a previous podcast. If you get MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News all pretty much agreeing on something, chances are, in this day and age, it's pretty reliable story. And, people were straight up, and this is a problem, however you feel about the political climate, this idea of fake news that has permeated our culture, like everything's fake news because I don't agree with it. It's like, no, man, yes, use some common sense, source your material, go to lots of different sources and make up your own mind. But just because something comes from a specific or particular media source, do not discredit it. Exactly. Do not discount it out of hand. Yep. It's just stupid. It's ridiculous. And that's what a lot of these fanboys were doing. It was just infuriating.
Yeah. And I mean, they're the same ones who like to poke at, indie wrestling because, All In's not going to sell out. It was all scalpers. And you're like, man, if you even bothered to watch, you seen that the entire arena was full. If it was all scalpers who bought tickets and nobody wanted those tickets, that arena wouldn't have filled. So, like, it's the same people who they are such fans of WWE that if anything is against WWE or starts doing as well as or in any way threatens their little bubble,
But I mean, this goes beyond WWE. This is just doing the right thing. So we'll see what happens with Crown Jewel. I'm hoping they move it. I'm hoping that's what happens. They've got a little bit of time, but I mean, like, the excuse that the Saudi government has given regarding Khashoggi's death, they finally confirmed that he's dead. And I had people, we don't even know if he's dead. They
said it with a rogue agent or something.
I had somebody go as far as to tell me that we should wait until they can locate him and he can testify on what actually happened.
Because, Hitler's not dead, neither is Hoffa.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that's how you wind up with political climates like today. Yep. Like, it's just a mess. It's a mess. And if you're on either side, you should kind of figure it's a mess at this point. So, I mean, good Lord.
On a more positive note, I thought both SmackDown 1000 and Raw were really good this week.
Okay. I would not call them really good.
I would say they're the best it's been in a while.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's I did not love either show. Obviously, Roman's opening, very touching, very needed in that situation. They gave him the moment. So apparently Dean's a heel now.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Like, it's an interesting conundrum it puts the guys in.
Well, reports on Friday were coming out that WWE had no finish planned for the feud between the Shield and the dogs, the hounds, the whatever they are. The
somethings of justice.
The Hounds of Justice.
The Hounds of Justice and the Dogs of War.
Yes. Yes. So anyway, they didn't have any finish for this 6-man going forward. They didn't know where they were going to or how they were going to end it. And with Roman having to come out and relinquish the belt. It pushed them to have to move forward with that Dean heel turn, which then also forced them to have to break up that group of Braun, McIntyre, and Dolph. So I think that's great that they actually, because they had nothing. And now at least it looks like, and hopefully this is how it goes. Hopefully they don't put the title back on Brock.
No.
Hopefully Braun's going to beat Brock at Crown Jewel, wherever it is.
Wherever it is. Yeah.
We're going to see him and McIntyre.
Him and McIntyre. That's where this is going.
And then we're going to see Dean and Seth and maybe even Dolph get thrown in there feuding over the IC title.
Yeah, like in a 3-way something.
And then, I mean, that opens up that tag division now where maybe we can see Author of the Pain or somebody new with the tag team.
You mean they have a tag division?
Well, I mean, the two teams that they did have are neither our teams anymore, really. So,
Thank
I mean.
God. Like, just we've talked about that. Like the chronic misuse of the tag division just angers me.
I think everybody's fine. I mean, I'm part of a Facebook group for like WWE fans, and there are a lot of marquee fans in that group. A lot of like all WWE or nothing fans, and everything WWE does good fans. And even there, I was seeing people comment on how putting the Shield and putting Braun, Dolph, and Drew in the world title or the universe title, the IC title, and the tag title picture, and focusing so much of their programming on those 6 guys was hurting Raw. And I completely agree with that sentiment. I think their 6 guys should not be controlling 3 different divisions and be the main feud in 3 different divisions of a program.
If you do, it's got to be a real short period of time.
Yeah.
It's got to be, and it really is hard. It's got to be like maybe a month or 2 tops.
Well, and I mean, you can do it like, so if you were going with the Shield and they were pushing the Shield, they could have done it, and instead of having Braun team up with Drew and Dolph, they could have kept them separately, and the Shield's running a rough shot, and you have the tag teams are fighting, and then you have the single match going on for the Universe title, and then Seth is beating somebody else up for the IC title, and kind of spread it out a bit, and still had those guys look like dominant with all the belts, but to just have the other 3 guys focused in it too, I mean, you're taking too much away from the rest of the roster.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about Lashley right now, man?
I don't get it. So I like Leo Rush as a wrestler. I'm not a super big fan of him as hype man for Bobby Lashley.
I understand like what they're trying to do because he's super annoying. Like he's super grating.
It almost seems like they're trying to do a Don King-esque thing with him. And I'm like, I don't know. It feels, he comes out and he's loud and annoying, but he's got this really big smile, and I'm like, I don't know, it feels almost like a caricature, and not necessarily a racist one, but getting close to it.
Well, let me,
and it's uncomfortable in all
if
all
they
ways
were going to do something like that, wouldn't it make sense? Like Lashley needs to be smashing people, like we saw. Finn got the quick win. Like the turnaround quick 1, 2, 3. Surprising. Ooh. Which we can get into, like Finn being dangerously close to being fodder for other people. Like that's a scary thought. But shouldn't Lashley be coming out if Rush is going to be like that annoying and that grating, which you can get some heat that way. Lashley needs to be smashing people.
Yeah, he needs to be. Brock and Paul are the perfect example. Paul Heyman comes out and he talks a bunch of garbage, and then he can because Brock Lesnar's there to protect him. Now with Leo Rush, you have an opportunity here to do the same kind of thing, but to eventually actually have Leo Rush get his comeuppance. He can actually. Yeah,
he can actually
get in a match and get like beaten up by a bigger dude.
Where Paul will take bumps, but he's very limited on what he can do. So there's some truth there. Like why? But why aren't you having? And so I feel we go back all the way back to Lashley returning. I mean, they missed the opportunity on the Lashley Brock boat with those guys both being legit fighters. And I mean, it feels like they've really missed the mark on Lashley's return the entire time he's been back. And this is just a continuation of that in a different direction.
I agree. And I also feel like it's a waste of Leo Rush, who is, a fantastic worker and could be doing a million other things.
Yeah, like you got two guys that have a lot of talent together, and like the premise is good, but again, the booking, it feels like, if you're going to have Leo Rush coming out, Lashley, like, and just grating on the crowd all through the match, Lashley needs to come out and just squash people.
Yep.
And he needs to crush them and be remorseless. And you don't put him in matches with like Finn, but you have him come out and crush, mid-card guys who can take a one-off loss from Lashley because you're building him up and keep it going. And it'll
much like they built Braun. I mean, they built Braun. Do the same thing with Lashley. I mean, you guys just did it.
I mean, you could do it. But again, you have this grating, annoying guy on the side, and people are going to boo him. Like, I mean, when he came out and that initial, like, he really got him to turn on because everybody was like, man, we kind of like Lashley. We wish they were doing something with him.
Yep.
That was kind of the feeling the crowd had.
And I think when Leo Rush first came out, he didn't get booed right away. Like that first show,
he had to work for it.
Yeah, because people are like, dude, it's Leo Rush.
But it came quick.
But yeah,
like he and credit to Rush, really getting the crowd to turn around.
Now, do you think they might, with the tag title situation kind of up in the air right now, do you think they might go the route of putting the tag belts on those two guys?
No. I don't think that's the direction they're going to go.
I mean, I think it'd be helpful because in that situation, you put them in the ring with a tag team and you let Bobby Lashley do like most of the work, and then you let him tag in Leo Rush at the
for
end
the
to
pins.
The finisher. Yeah,
and
that'd be helpful to build Lashley as a destroying people.
That'd be okay. I don't think that's the direction they're going to go though. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying I don't see WWE going that direction. I see it more likely like tag team.
Maybe they put him in the IC title picture and keep that Ambrose Rollins feud away from the belts because I don't think they need the belts involved with the feud between those two.
They don't, but it does kind of elevate it to another level because both of those guys, like you keep seeing that that meme float around about days as champion, and both of those guys are over 700 days as champions of various levels. Like that's really interesting. I think it could elevate the IC title a little bit. It could elevate that feud a little bit. Do they need it? No. It's already there. Let's use it. see what happens. And then, if you change it and put it on heel Dean, I mean, you can have somebody else come in and chase it.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
It'll be interesting to see where they go. Like Raw's kind of a mess. I mean, they have a tag team that basically broke up after winning the title, and then you got a world champion who had to relinquish, and I'm like, wow, that's a little bit of a mess.
I can tell you one thing that's not a mess. Rhonda figured out how to cut a promo.
Oh, God, well, they're letting her write her own.
And working with Heyman.
Yeah.
Working with Heyman.
Yep. Though a lot of people mentioned that the promo she cut on Nikki and Brie about like using your husbands to get over or your boyfriend or whatever.
Using your men to...
is almost like word for word the same one AJ Lee cut on them years ago.
Yeah, but it's a little more impactful now, I think. Like, because especially, all right, so with Brie and all the botch accusations and everything, and then she calling your husband's watered down movesets. Brutal, but the only door you busted down was the door to John Cena's bedroom, and it was the same one he threw you out of. That was some fire, man. I was like, because remember now, and I'm not saying this is like the greatest promo of all time. Don't. But look at how far Rhonda has come in 90 days. Yeah, because as close to 2-3 months ago, she was struggling on the microphone. She did have a moment where she kind of chopped her words up and got a little ahead of herself. She had to reset it and kind of get it out correctly. Yep. But it seemed natural, like any other person, where she was about to say something. She's like, and then she nailed it. And it didn't seem overly scripted, so she was able to recover. And that's the kind of champ she needs. She needs to be like, because she's smiling and happy half the time. And I get that she grew up a mark.
Yeah.
She's a huge fan. So there's probably still some like shine on this for her. You know, she's living something that she as a fan enjoyed her entire life.
Yep.
But like, man, mean I'm gonna rip your arm off Ronda is money. And if she can figure out how to build off this promo, like we heard so much, you know, she's going to be another Brock. She's going to wrestle once every whatever and never be on TV. She's there every week. Oh, she's going to be awful. She goes into WrestleMania, into like her first match, pressure packed moment with people who, you know, we figured Stephanie's not like this great worker, you know, like Stephanie can go out there and do some things and whatnot. And she looked great against Stephanie. She looked great against Triple H, throwing him around, and she's done nothing but body people.
Yeah.
And like she's where the women's division is headed. Like she's a real athlete. No offense to, I know there's a lot of athletes there, but I'm saying like there's difference between being athletic and being an athlete. Like there are a lot of people who, same thing in the men's division. There are a lot of guys like a favorite of yours, Punk. He was an athletic dude. Yep. I wouldn't count him as a hardcore athlete.
Not at all.
He's not a Lashley. That's what I'm saying. He's not a Lashley. He's not a Lesnar. He's not one of those guys. And this is kind of what you're seeing out of Ronda. She is an athlete. She's not, you know, a stuntman athletic type. Like she's a legit gonna break you.
And they're going to use her more properly. Like we've seen quality wrestlers like Bayley, Sasha, Becky, who they bring in and they get over and they're have a big fan base, and then WWE just drops the ball and does nothing with them. I don't feel like with Ronda Rousey and her pop culture appeal outside of the business that they're going to do the same. So,
no.
Yeah.
She and they're paying her too much. That's the other.
Absolutely.
You know what did I thought I saw that they're paying her like 1.5. She's the highest paid guarantee. She has the highest paid guarantee in the company for women. Yep. So you know they're not going to just set on that. Yeah. So, man, she's trying to give us something to watch. Like I'm not. Again, I wasn't really crazy about the way this feud built up, but I really hope they move Crown Jewel so I can watch like Crown Jewel now. Like 'cause I'm not going to watch it. I said I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch it if it's in Saudi.
Her match is on Crown Jewel anyway. It's on
Evolution.
So,
I'm sorry. I'm having
because you know no women. But it'd be nice if they moved it and then they could actually have a lady on the show.
Maybe that might be what they have to do to replace some of the. My mistake. Yep. I got things a little crossed there.
Yep. But
it's been a week.
Yeah, you know. I thought the shows were good. Besides Ronda just being really good, she was good on Raw this week. She didn't even have to really cut much of a promo. They let the Bellas cut one, and they almost seemed flat with her. Just it
was perfect, like her leaving the ring without touching them, because she's like, I'm not going. And it just build like, oh, she gonna rip you apart. She gonna rip that arm off.
Now. On the women's division on Raw, obviously, you know they're pushing the title and everything heavily, and seems like a lot of the ladies are involved heavily in Evolution. SmackDown though seems like the SmackDown women's roster are a bit upset about the booking of Evolution, and the majority of them sitting on a battle royal instead of having any kind of worthwhile, credible matches.
Do you think that's why Becky was so bitter and mean to Edge?
Possibly. Yeah. I mean, Becky and Charlotte's got their match. But I'm trying to think of another SmackDown women's match on that card. Because Raw's got. We're gonna go through them.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get to what we got now.
So the Battle Royal.
Yes.
Which has all of the women, including Asuka, who should probably be featured in an actual singles match. Quit messing with the audio.
You're fine. It's my audio. You're fine.
Yeah, my headphones are going right and left, but hopefully
this is that. No, it's good. Okay. The mic's good.
Good. A good majority of the SmackDown women's rosters part of that Battle Royal, and I just there's so many women there who, I mean, you have Carmella in it, who was just recently SmackDown Women's Champion.
That's right.
You have Asuka, who came in with that whole undefeated streak and was such a, you're not ready for Asuka, and she's stuck in this.
Talk about let's
Ember
pause.
Moon's in there.
Let's pause. Let's pause there a second. Has anybody been more mismanaged since coming to the main roster than Asuka? Like from NXT, because of the amount of the build they gave her.
Not as quick. I think you could argue that long run, both Finn and Bobby Roode have been.
Bobby Roode's another contender.
And then Sanity, who showed up and then didn't do anything.
I guess the caveat with that is and even with Bobby Roode to a point, I don't think there was this expectation that they were going to move to the top and be a champion for an extended period of time at the top of the card. And Asuka had that expectation, and they beat her, and that was it.
I think the difference also is they gave Bobby Roode a pretty big push with the U.S. title. They gave Finn the Universal title, and he got injured. They gave Sanity is really the only other one they brought in and didn't just drop the ball, did nothing with. Maybe a Revival as well.
Ascension's pretty bad, but I don't like to count the tag division because they just mismanage that so much.
But Asuka she came in with so much
heat. Oh, jeez.
She was on fire. She was, that undefeated streak. People were looking forward to seeing these new matchups against the women's division. People were talking like her and Charlotte Flair are going to be a 5-star match and things of that nature. And yeah, they did a terrible job. Even once she took that loss, they still should have had something for her to do after that.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And here we are. She's on a battle royal.
Yep. Along with the first ever winner of the women's battle royal at WrestleMania, Naomi, on the match. First ever women's Money in the Bank winner, Carmella, in that match. The longest undefeated streak in the modern time for a woman in WWE, Asuka, in that match. I'm like, wow, way to, all these big first evers. Oh my God, we're so progressive. And now they're all in this battle royal.
Yeah, relegated to the battle royal. Yep. I don't even know who comes out of this with a win.
Who cares? What are they gonna get? Naomi was on Twitter and Instagram and such talking about hey, I still haven't got my trophy from winning the last battle royal.
Yeah.
Or my title shot.
Womp womp.
Yep.
All right. 6-woman tag team match.
Yep. Raw roster match between the Riot Squad and Sasha, Bayley, and Natalya. Which, I mean,
that's a lot of talent in that ring.
Yep.
That's probably going to be a pretty good match.
Yeah. And it's nice to see Sasha back on TV. She took that break. People were saying for a mental break or whatever.
Mental health or back. We heard that, but we never really got an answer. Maybe she comes back rejuvenated, refreshed, ready to rock and roll. Riot Squad's another group. Man, a lot of talent.
Yep.
A lot of talent in that group. And it seems like they're just kind of floating around, and that's okay. They haven't been around a long time, but I would like to see them do something.
Well, there was all these rumors of this women's tag division, and I kind of hoped that was going to be something that they would fall into, being tag champs, and they could Freebird rule it or whatever. But I don't know if that's going to happen. We haven't seen anything. I mean, the pay-per-view is Sunday, and they have not made any kind of announcement of a tag division.
We'll see.
They have all the women on the roster shoved in that battle royal, so who are even going to compete in this division?
I don't know. Maybe that's what the rest of the matches on this card end up being, and they don't announce it until the pay-per-view.
Oh, maybe.
We'll see. Remember we covered a few weeks ago, we covered the leaked, quote-unquote leaked card, and that's kind of what it said it was going to be.
But I mean, a lot of matches from that card are not accurate to what that.
That's true too.
So,
but maybe that was there, but some of them are. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a huge Liv Morgan mark at this point. Having just recently seen her in Up Up Down Down, she was amazing.
Yeah,
and I was. They give the guys who. The wrestlers who appear as guests on that show nicknames, and they're like, so what do you want your nickname to be? And so she's like, you can call me Daddy. So she had Xavier Woods calling her Daddy throughout the show, and
that's
I'm just like, this
hilarious.
is amazing. Yep. It's amazing.
There are so many jokes there.
Oh God, it was so good.
Oh my God.
I'm like, all right, Liv Morgan. I am following you now on Twitter. I am
so
a mark.
Good. Speaking of being a mark, you couldn't watch the Monday Night Wars and be a teenage boy and not be a mark for at least two of these people, obviously.
Or in my case, three, because man, I was a Alexa Lurie fan when she was on the Indies.
Lord, man.
Yeah.
Mickey again, no slouch.
Nope.
We've got Trish and Lita versus Mickey and Alexa.
Wonder how much Alexa's gonna actually be in the ring for this. She wasn't even at Raw. They actually put Foxy involved with the beatdown from Lita and Trish because Alexa apparently dealing with some injuries.
Yeah. That's why this was changed to a tag match.
Yep.
My guess is they're resting her until then. She's going to be super protected in this match. She's not going to take any crazy bumps. Nothing wrong with that, guys.
Nope.
Nothing wrong with that. Protect your health. Get out of there. Try to find a way to work it into work it in so that the match is good. But get out of there with your health. Nothing wrong with that. I don't see why, if she's injured, I don't see her and Mickey winning.
Yeah.
If she was healthy,
I don't even see them necessarily winning anyway. I mean, Trish Stratus doesn't come back and wrestle a whole lot.
No, or Lita. Yeah, that's it would be a good rub for Alexa to get the pin over one of them if they were about to push Alexa into a new program.
Yeah.
But I think this is a feel good moment for the fans.
Yep.
Where you get two Hall of Famers winning another match.
Do we think that Mickey and Trish are going to recreate that WrestleMania moment?
No, because that got real heat. That got like super atomic heat.
Only backstage.
Yeah, backstage, like the
fans loved it.
And that was, if that happened today, son. If you don't know what we're talking about, that's a little almost R-rated. Go watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, because you can't find it on WWE Network or on the DVDs.
No, go YouTube it up. So no, I think you. No, you know what? It's got to be on the network. If you go watch,
it's cut from both the network and the original DVD release. I own it.
Wait a second, and I'm gonna go watch this. I'm gonna go watch it tonight after we're done.
Yep, it's cut. I mean, unless they recently put it back in.
They cut that. But they can have Chris Benoit still in the pay-per-views.
Hey, they still have
I know
Bischoff doing HLA on the Raw episodes on there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is. I don't. Okay, I'm gonna go check, Bob. Maybe it was in the DVD.
And it's an awkward cut too because you see her hit that move and then you see it do like a cut to the crowd and then it comes back. And
you have no idea what happened.
Yeah.
Where it's her licking her hand and putting it somewhere. Anyway. We're trying to keep PG a little bit here. A little bit, but it was a moment. Oh my God, it was a moment, and it was.
WWE should have put that like still on like a trading card, man. That was a moment that should have like not been deleted.
Teenage guys everywhere were like, "Oh my God, by God, King!" And the best part is King just selling it up. Puppies. There's another example, really. Yep. Like you're gonna cut that, but it's puppies.
And if you cut every time King said puppies from WWE programming,
it'd be dead audio for 2 years.
Yeah, they'd have like 2 years worth of dead audio.
I love Jerry, but damn, it'd just be JR like burp, 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 and that'd be it.
Oh look, Jerry, look.
Just nothing.
King.
Yeah, exactly. Just nothing. I think we're gonna have to change that board connection. No big deal. Let's move on. NXT Women's Championship. Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler. And I don't know, man. Like,
if they're gonna bring up Kairi, and there's been rumor that they're looking to bring her up, I can see her dropping it.
That would make sense.
There's also been rumor that they might bring them both up sometime soon. And if that's the case, then I don't see her dropping it. I see her dropping it to somebody else once they both make that move to the main roster.
See, I just messed you all up, didn't I, Bob? This is
bit.
that producing in front of the camera thing.
I can still hear myself to a point.
Yeah, it's that producing in front of the camera thing. There we go. All right, that'll help. Yeah. So, unfortunately, we have to produce in front of the camera.
Unless there's somebody local who wants to, producer credit.
Yeah, come on over, guys. We'll get you some camera time. You can have your own mic. It'd be great.
Yep, you can have some creative input into the graphics and things. Yeah,
I'll even let you have more creative input than Bob,
which is fine because it's less for me to do.
And it's just very little. Anyway, yeah, I think if Baszler wins, it's a sign that Kyrie's going to move up. I don't know if they're there yet. A little worried if they bring her up. What are they going to do with her?
Well, I mean, with Alexa out, maybe that's she's going to try to fill that role. I noticed. So I'm doing the Twitch WWE 2K19 Universe mode onto our Twitch channel. And the premise for the show that we're doing is WCW Women's Championship Wrestling. And I took a bunch of the ladies from WWE, some of the ladies who are on the NXT and the Mae Young Classic roster, and I basically put together a roster to do an all-women's show. And I left like all the Total Diva cast members and stuff with WWE, and I have noticed that even with a smaller roster of women, with 2 shows, I still have an overabundance of women trying to make sure to get everybody enough screen time. And man, they keep bringing people up. You have to wonder what they're going to do with them when they do come up, because there's only so much television time, and with them at maximum willing to give the women 2 matches on a pay-per-view, you have to wonder now that the rosters are both on the same pay-per-views, what they're going to do with the upcoming NXT talent. I mean, especially after the Mae Young Classic and so many more women signed to the company. I mean, eventually one would have to think that they may have to spin off and do a women's show just to have something. And I don't know how they work that unless it's a network.
It would be on the network probably. Yeah. That would be my guess. Yeah, and with there is some discussion that Fox is starting with Fox in 2019. They're going to recombine. There's not going to be a roster split anymore. But then you also hear, Fox wants a more sports-oriented program. Yep.
And word has it now, the things have changed a little bit. So having conversation this week online, there was a bit of argument of what company had purchased the rights to Smackdown, because originally it was announced, Vince McMahon was quoted as saying that it was coming to Fox, it was going to be on network television, and how excited they were about it being on Fox Broadcasting network television. And Disney had purchased 21st Century Fox, which owns 20th Century Fox, which has Fox Broadcasting as part of it. Now, Fox Sports was not part of that deal. Now, somebody shared some source with me from a couple interviews that were done later that are stating that Fox is claiming that it is going to be part of their Fox Sports division and be airing alongside things like NFL and MLB baseball and whatnot. So it may be that it's going to be on. It's not going to be on Fox, network. It may be on like Fox Sports or on FS1, because those are the 2 channels that are attached to the Fox Sports division.
Okay, so the reporting that I have seen is that they're going to put this. They want to sandwich it. They want to move it to Friday night.
Yes.
They want it to be part of their weekend sports coverage anchorage. So, it would not. Technically, it's owned by Fox. It'll be in a lineup of Fox Sports properties.
But now Fox itself was sold to Disney, Fox Broadcasting. Fox Sports is
right, but that doesn't mean.
And they said it's going to be part of the new Fox network, which will include Fox News and Fox Sports. Which, if that's the case,
I haven't seen any of that. Like,
yeah,
my understanding,
confusing.
My understanding is this is going to be on Friday in prime time on the major broadcast Fox network. It's going to anchor, be the kind of the opening salvo of their anchor coverage, because Fox Sports, Fox Sports, Fox News are its own entity. Like the NFL is still going to be on Fox proper. It's going to be on Fox broadcast television. So what they're looking for, my understanding of everything I've read, is Friday night's going to be Smackdown. They want it sports oriented. It's going to go into their Saturday college football coverage, into their Sunday NFL coverage. And I believe Fox is picking up Thursday night football as well at some point, like in 2020. And so it'll be football, wrestling, football during the winter. And then in the summer, you'll have some baseball and stuff like that.
So then my wonder, maybe Fox in this deal kept their channels and just sold the content that was on the channels, other than, because I know for a fact that Disney has acquired The Simpsons. And I know for a fact they've acquired like 2 or 3 other Fox regular sitcoms are now under the Disney umbrella. And so if they're still putting their sport programming on the Fox channels, I'm wondering if they kept those channels and are rebranding it as this new Fox.
I mean, that's some of the legal complexity of that deal, but there's no way that, like, because when you hear that, it makes complete sense about, okay, especially if there's going to be Thursday night football on Fox. If they get Thursday night football on Fox, and then you have a Friday Smackdown show, and then you have sports all weekend long. The NFL is not going to be on like FS1. Like, it's not going to be. It's going to be on Fox. Like that. That's just not going to happen. So it makes complete sense. I'm sure that deal is worked out. Like, it doesn't. The inner workings don't matter so much. The interesting thing is that they are talking about unsplitting the brands, recombining them. And how that'll play out, because that's going to shorten screen time for people. Yep. Because now you're going to have
the real strange thing there is it's been put out that Vince McMahon doesn't like this idea of going to a sports-based program, that he likes the more comedy-based stuff.
Well, and Vince likes money.
But to combine the rosters would mean all of his shows would have to take a more sports-based. Like I don't know how they could do Raw with a bunch of comedy type matches with the same guys who then show up on SmackDown and are supposed to be taken seriously.
That's an interesting question. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see how that's all going to play out. I am of the opinion that they should stay split. The roster should definitely stay split. I think it opens up more screen time for more people.
I agree.
And a lot more potential, especially like I said before, with a property on Fox and a property with NBC Universal, those companies and those networks can drive the WWE to create better content and compete amongst itself, especially if those rosters are split, and vie for better ratings. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, bring it back to when Raw and SmackDown were legitimately competing for ratings. We saw that was... I
mean, SmackDown beat Raw this past week, and interestingly enough, apparently backstage, they were upset with how low the SmackDown rating was. And I'm like, man, it beat Raw. Like, you take a win when you can get one, because it wasn't that high, but it still beat Raw.
Yeah, I mean, it's not... We're not talking... I hadn't seen... we're not back in historic low territory. It's still low rating, but at least it's ticked back up a little bit. So, moving on. We've still got a couple matches. Becky and Charlotte, and this is, did I hear right? SmackDown Women's Championship, last woman standing match?
I believe that's
what it was announced.
Yep.
I don't see him moving the belt off Becky.
It would be foolish to do so.
It's just completely this has just been completely mismanaged.
Yes.
Two talented women with a great chance to have a double turn and have a great feud, and they missed the boat, and they're forcing this, Becky heel narrative. This is just as bad as them trying to force Roman face on us.
This is like the inverse of what they're doing on Raw.
Yeah, she goes out there, and one of the most popular guys of the last 20 years, Edge, and cracks him on his career-ending injury and gets applauded.
Yep.
All right, they're not gonna boo her, guys. It's over.
No,
give up.
Maybe if they brought Roman over there and she cracked on his leukemia, they could get her booed.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it's gonna take to get her over as a heel in this moment. But this is the problem. Like, I'm beginning to think that the easiest way to get somebody over as a heel is to just shove them down our throat, regardless of what's happening, and just give them to us week after 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 week.
Which is basically the planned program for Hollywood Hulk Hogan. That's what they did. They turned him and had him, say, screw you guys, and then shoved him down everybody's throat. Had him consistently be champion, had him drop it to Lex Luger, and then win it back like 2 days later. It was one of those situations where they shoved him down people's throats so they'd hit him more and more and more as it continued. And you will get to a point where your saturation point where now the people just don't want to see them. But that's exactly how they got Hollywood Hogan over in the 90s as like uber heel, and for some reason WWE think that's how you get a face over, and I don't understand.
I don't know. Yeah, it was definitely a contributing factor. It didn't hurt that Hogan did come out and turn on some of the most beloved people in WCW at the time. And people were already kind of tired of Hogan.
Yeah.
They were tired of Hulk Hogan at that point.
Yep.
It had been it had been 15 years of babyface Hulk Hogan. And so it was a really good moment. But they just shoved him down our throat.
Picture if John Cena, when he was getting like those mixed reactions, had come out and then turned on Triple H, Kane and Mick Foley or something, and then cut a promo about like you fans booed me, well screw you fans or whatever, and then joined up with two other top guys to become a faction in
the New World Organization of Wrestling, brother.
I don't think that would have got him booed. I think that would have got him back to getting more cheers.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they continually pushed Hogan down your throat from that point on,
true,
I think helped.
Yeah, it would be, and the guys, I think the equivalent, it would be like, it would be like Cena coming out today, and dropping a 5-knuckle shuffle on Daniel Bryan, and then winning a match or ending a match on Daniel Bryan, and then proceeding to beat up Bryan and like Styles and who's another super popular wrestler like Rollins.
Yeah,
because that's what it was, and then having
teaming
Cena,
up with like Braun and
teaming up with like Braun and Dean, and then it was nothing but John Cena TV for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Heat.
Yep.
It would work. Like, I'm just that's kind of the equivalent. If you didn't live through that, and there's a difference. I firmly believe this. There's a difference of going back and watching something and living through it. Like, I can go back and watch classic matches that I didn't live through, but and I have an appreciation for it. But I still, a good one's the Ox Baker riot in Cleveland. Like, I love watching that clip when wrestling was so kayfabe and so real. They actually had a riot in Cleveland where the fans came all the way into the ring and were going to attack the wrestlers, and I mean it was a full-blown riot.
I love the ECW match where he asked for a chair and the entire arena.
Oh yeah, the chair,
all their chairs into the ring.
Again, lived through that, but that's different. Like, they asked for a chair, and that was that was that intensity that they garnered in that audience. But like, this was fans that were so angry that they wanted to kill Ox Baker. They wanted him dead.
And now you get your signs taken away from you as you enter the building.
And I don't know if I could ever. Well, I can appreciate it and I can watch it and enjoy it, and that classic stuff like that. Like, it takes. It's a different level for somebody who lived it as a fan.
Yeah.
Somebody like Cornette, who was a huge fan and got into the biz. Like, him watching that classic stuff, it probably means more to him than it does me, even though I can appreciate it. I lived through that as a fan, watching it live and not knowing what was going to happen, and getting Hollywood Hulk Hogan rammed down our throat every week. And watching it turn, like, it worked for about 6 months, and then all of a sudden the NWOs are the baby faces.
Yep.
Like, they're the ones getting cheered.
Well, Hall and Nash were getting cheered anyway, with Hogan that kept that group heel.
There was an interesting mix when it was the Outsiders, but when they became the NWO, Hollywood Hogan and the turn, and I mean, it's arguably one of the 3 best heel turns of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple that you can put in there for various reasons, but that one is, I mean, the way it created heat was just.
Well, I mean, it's because you listen to the fans, and the best heel turns always happen because the fans wanted it.
So let's slide back over to Evolution.
Yep.
I think Becky wins that match.
Yeah.
And keeps the title. Ronda and Nikki, I don't see them moving the title.
No, you don't see Nikki Bella. Interestingly, this week we had both the Attitude Era mentioned by Trish and Lita. That's how we did it in the Attitude Era. And then in the promo between Ronda and Nikki said, how's your mom going to feel when you lose to a diva? And I'm like, wow, like those are things WWE usually don't let them talk about. Like,
it's interesting. I don't think they're going to move the title.
I hope not.
I think they've spent too much time and money building up Ronda.
I could see them go the route of having Brie get involved and them screw Ronda out of the title, just to have Ronda then have a match where she gets her revenge. I could see them do that.
If it's a straight screw job, maybe. Because it would cement Nikki as a heel. People would be really angry that they have to deal with Nikki Bella as the champion.
But I don't know. I still worry that Nikki can't take a full beating from Ronda the way Ronda has been dishing out beatings. And I don't know if you want to build yourself to something where you need to have that heavy of a beating happen. And if she screws Ronda out of the belt, the follow-up match is going to have to be, something fairly extreme in the ring. And if Nikki can't take those kind of bumps,
you have to assume she's cleared.
Yeah.
I mean, and I assume that they're going to work to protect her neck, but though, like, Ronda throws people around.
Yeah.
There's a reason that it looks so good. It's because there's a lot of force behind them
Absolutely.
throws. Anybody who's ever been thrown in any sort of combat sport can tell you, like, those throws. Well, I mean, they're not 100% shoot throws. They're legit. Like, there's a lot of force behind. I've been thrown around a little bit. And it's clear that she is coming with extreme power.
Yes.
Even though it is a shoot, it's a work. It's not a shoot. There's a lot of force behind her throws and her moves. Yep. So, man.
So you mentioned Jim Cornette. So we should probably talk about NWA for a minute.
Yeah, there's a lot of angry fans.
Yeah. All right, so here's the big question. Do we think the NWA made some mistakes with their last pay-per-view?
No.
No?
No. I think a lot of this is just business, and a lot of the fans and marks they're having an emotional reaction to it. I think there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that prompted this title change.
I think they did, in fact, make some mistakes. And for a company that has existed, it continued to exist throughout the 2000s. It didn't disappear. It was still a thing. There were guys holding the NWA World Championship who you weren't seeing on major programs, and you weren't really aware of. I mean, Colt Cabana is a 2-time NWA World Champion. It's a thing that happened, but you didn't really see it. For them to put the belt on somebody who has lineage, somebody who's a second-generation star, whose father held the belt, and allow him to promote it in multiple places and really get that over, and then on his rematch have him drop it, it doesn't feel like it helped the title, for one, because it's such a quick title changes. It doesn't feel like it helped. It didn't help Cody any. It didn't. I don't even know if it helped Nick Aldis any, because I don't think that anybody is coming out of this saying, oh, well, we're going to have to watch a whole bunch more Nick Aldis now. I think it was like everybody realizes, all right, well, they did this to get Nick and the NWA title on All In and get that promotion of the belt and their company to help build towards their pay-per-view. And now they're going to go back to what they were doing because Nick Aldis was their guy. And I think people realize that because I've seen people saying as much on Twitter and on Facebook.
Again, this goes back to how much can Cody actually, like, they're trying to revive the NWA. Okay, you need a working champion to a degree.
And I understand that. I just think that then they shouldn't have put the belt on him to begin with.
I think that would have been a disaster. I think fans would have mutinied.
I'm saying, like, why you didn't even need to do that at the match. Like, you didn't need to have Cody in an NWA title match.
It also sets up the possibility of a rubber match down the road. I know we're not going to get it in like the next 30 days or whatever, but it sets up, let's say Cody's, again, we're finding out firsthand Cody's a busy guy. Not that that's really anything that anybody couldn't.
Really a surprise.
Yeah, no, anybody can look at what he does and realize this is a busy guy, okay? We don't know, and this is what I mean by behind the backstage business, we don't know what his commitments are to exactly. We don't know what his commitments are exactly to New Japan. We don't know what they are exactly to Ring of Honor, other independent shows, All In 2. Like, we don't know. There's January. We don't know. Okay, there's a lot of questions. So Cody got a chance to win that title, and now he's former NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, like his father. It's a good moment. It was good for the pay-per-view. It was good it was good all the way around. I think people are really tied up because, Cody has a lot more eyes on him and a lot more fans than Aldis. Aldis is, no disrespect to Aldis, really good guy.
Did you manage to watch the show?
I haven't watched it yet. I heard the match was crazy good.
But Cody was the heel in the match. Cody was cheered the entire match. Cody was the Becky Lynch of this match. You weren't gonna put Cody over as so they didn't get their fan reaction they wanted. And then so the other problem beyond the title match for the NWA World Championship is that you had the matches for to crown a new U.S. champion or
national champion. Yeah.
You had some guys from outside of NWA, some guys from like Ring of Honor, in those matches too. And going in, you had Willie Mack, and you see that Jazz is the women's champion going in, and so you look at the roster of people who they've been using prior to this pay-per-view, who were NWA guys, and Aldis and Jazz and Willie Mack. These are people who have been with the company already, and you're bringing in some outside talent, and those outside talent aren't being put over at all. They're taking losses to the homegrown talent, the NWA talent. The question has to become, at what point do companies like Ring of Honor stop wanting to work with NWA if you're going to do pay-per-view and you're going to say, here's a handful of guys to use, and all your guys take losses on the show? It doesn't help Ring of Honor any for their guys to be taking losses on other companies' programs.
How much of that is a quid pro where, the NWA guys may come in? And again, it's not like they're bringing in like Jay Lethal and stuff like that to job
Which, I mean, would have been somebody... which would have been somebody I would have been, they could have, rather than Aldis winning the NWA title back from Cody, what if they would have done something where somebody else would have beat Cody for it, or where it would have, maybe Aldis would have taken on a Fatal 4-Way match to decide the number one contender for that championship, to extend the reign. There's just so many other directions to go rather than hot-shotting the belt back onto the guy who had it.
But is there? Like that's the thing I think we forget is the NWA has been, it's existed and it's been around. Like, it's very limited in what is capable. This isn't like, a well-oiled machine like the WWE. Billy Corgan's trying to breathe life back into this and bring it back as best as he can. And it's going to be a long, slow process. So you give the fans the feel-good moment. You give Cody a good moment. It extends the lineage of the belt, et cetera, et cetera. But a lot of this, I firmly believe, given their choice, given, sky's the limit, you can do anything you want because you got all these guys under contract and it doesn't matter. I don't think that belt changes either. I'm not arguing that. Do I think it was the best booking decision? No. Do I think this was a decision that was driven by the status and situation of the NWA as a company or corporation or product or whatever you want to call it, as a federation, a sanctioning body, however, the company that is the NWA that is owned by Billy Corgan, and the commitments of the guys that he's trying to work with. I think that was the bottom line. I'm glad, and let's not act like his dad didn't have shorter title reigns than that. So I mean, it's not unprecedented. So I feel bad. Yeah, I think the fans are piling on a little bit unnecessarily.
Well, it doesn't seem like it's just a few fans either.
People are angry, man. I get it, but
those of us who do podcasts and kind of break down wrestling, on a more professional level, and who really appreciate the match for the inner workings of the match and understand the backstage elements and all that stuff. Those who are covering the product, have like, oh, great match, surprising finish, all this is a good worker, he can carry that belt, all the we can see all those things. But from the response from the fans I've seen the price I paid for this pay-per-view having one match that was worth me seeing, and it being Cody and then have him lose, I am upset. And others who are like, well, I'm glad haven't ordered this, and I'm not going to now because the only match that was worth the price of this pay-per-view was that main event. And if Cody lost, then I don't care. To people who went and were like, hey, I was awesome. I got to go and got to meet Cody and get my NWA championship signed. It sucks that he doesn't have it now because I've spent a bunch of money on this.
That's what I'm talking about with the fan reaction. That's that Cody fan base, which rightfully so is mad because their guy lost. I understand that, but again, we do not know what's going on the business side. We have no idea. Cody put out a really nice tweet, about moving forward and hoping that everything moves forward. I genuinely think he offered to do that because he likes what Billy Corgan's trying to do. He wants to see that title and that brand get resurrected. He wants to see it do well. Obviously, it's nice to be able to have that championship lineage with
getting all this over.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons. There are a lot of reasons why Cody would have said yes to that, but there are also a lot of reasons I think that we don't know that they would book it this way. Like I said, if this were like a Ring of Honor or Impact or WWE or New Japan, where people were under contract and you have a lot more ability to do prolonged storylines and things like that, I think people would have be able to rip this up and down. With it being the NWA and their business model and the situation that they're in and a lot of the things that they're having to deal with, I'm going to take and not be as hard on them. Do I agree with it? No. Would I have rather seen Cody win? Of course. I think it would have made more sense to leave it on him. It gets more eyeballs on him. Again, no offense to all this, perfectly fine wrestler, but he is not Cody. Cody's one of the hottest guys in the business today, especially outside of WWE. I mean, it's him and Kenny are the two really the hottest guys in terms of eyeballs on him, fan base, rabid following. I feel like Cody's even kind of, the Bucks fan base is always going to be there, but it's a lot of that same fan base. We just don't know. So I don't want to just pan this. I don't want to trash the NWA and what they're trying to do. I don't want to say it was a bad decision. I want to say it was probably the only decision that they could make.
So I think as we step away from the title match and we talk about the rest of what was going on at the pay-per-view, I do feel they made another mistake, and they're bringing back the Jim Cornette tag team tournament. And
what?
Yep.
No, they're bringing back Crockett Cup. Yep. That's what you're talking about.
Apparently, Jim Cornette is going to be involved, though. And
that doesn't surprise me because he was involved in many, 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 many Crockett Cups.
And that immediately, of course, got a bunch of tweets out from guys who Jim Cornette has heat with because Jim Cornette doesn't like their style of work, including the Young Bucks, saying, well, if you know who's involved, we won't be. And that seems like a mistake. If you're going to... If you're trying to put together a best of the Indies tournament to crown a NWA tag team champions, and you're going to put a guy who worked with Ring of Honor and created heat with a bunch of the tag teams,
going to have to bury some hatchets. Jim Cornette's going to have to. So this is one of those.
The thing is Jim Cornette is not known for burying hatchets.
Well, except in people's backs. And I love Cornette, man. He's one of my favorite managers. He's a great personality. Like, look. Nobody's ever said he's been easy to work with. I understand why you would want him to be a part of the Crockett Cup.
Yep.
Because there's history there with the Midnight. He was a big part of the NWA. I get it.
Yep.
Like, I understand that. But my guess is there's been some discussion with him and Billy Corgan where he's gone. He's like, look, Jim, you're gonna have to do some damage control with some of these guys because Cornette has softened on the Bucks some, and he's never gonna soften on Joey Ryan. I understand that.
Kenny Omega, apparently.
I feel he's
or
softened.
Kota Ibushi because he recently came out and
I know I feel like he's softening some on even Kenny to a point, and not. I mean, he's not going to.
I don't know. They were still going at it before All In with Cornette tweeting something about Kenny Omega and Kenny responding of like, Jim, I've said it before. I'm not going to talk to you or say anything bad about you as long as you quit using my name. Now you're using my name again, and I don't want to have to do this. And I'm like, man, we're at that point where.
And again, we'll see what happens. See what happens. From a historical link to the old NWA Pat, which is what they're trying to revive. They're trying to revive the history and whatnot. It makes sense to have Cornette involved in a Crockett Cup.
They should have just put him in that role of the guy who hands the winners the championship or something at the end. Like if he's involved in any other way, that's gonna.
Maybe that's what it is. He's just gonna be. Promoting,
which I don't know if he would agree to that, because that just makes him like that senator on Iron Man, where when Iron Man gets the award, he gives it to him and says, "Oh,
the Gary Shandling role.
See how annoying a little prick can be? Yeah, he's just gonna be that guy." Like so.
Some of that'll depend on who they put the tag team titles on, because you never know. And I mean, it's unlikely, but if they put him on the Briscoes, he'd be more than hit because Cornette is over crazy on the Briscoes. Like, he loves the Briscoes.
Yeah. But if the NWA is going to consider getting a rub from the Bucks and putting the titles on them, you gotta figure they gotta be planning to do it before January 1st, since
I don't think they're gonna go with the Bucks. I think there are a couple other routes they could go.
SCU.
Oh, Jesus. All right. So with that, it's about that time. We gotta. I did not mean to do that. Oh no, I ruined it. I ruined it. I'm gonna blame Bob. I did not break the internet. I meant to go. I meant to push that one.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
So
now, tomorrow.
Yes.
Wednesday at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, we will be having a video go up on YouTube with an interview with Aaron. How do we pronounce his last name? Goldbertson.
Goldbertson.
Okay.
Got it.
Yes.
I looked. It's a little Aaron Goldbertson, American Rebel Cigars, also podcaster, general wrestling mark, political pundit, Renaissance man, author.
Yeah.
He's Mark, and he's a fan, and he's working with Kaz and Cody on the American Rebel Cigars. He's the guy that is running the day-to-day.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're on the outro screen and not continuing to talk because in about 20 minutes we're going to be chatting with him.
Yep.
And we'll have that up tomorrow at noon.
Yeah, that we will. And keep in mind that you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, obviously YouTube, and we have a Twitch channel now that goes. We do the WWE 2K Universe mode every Monday and Thursday at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. So you can check that out on Twitch.
Yeah, that's all Bob. Bob's universing it up. So with that, let's go get ready for an interview. And I'm gonna
no V triggering the button.
No V triggering the button.
All
right, then I'm gonna
have to reset up the camera.
Then I'm gonna super kick the button.
Super kick!